I'm Matthew Tiers.
I'm James Fitzpatrick.
And my name is Jeremiah Garza. Today we're going to explain the benefits and drawbacks of first-person shooting games on the Millennial generation.
Can video games have a positive impact on a player's life?
Video games are a popular pastime in modern society. More and more people are turning to video games to spend their free time. From the player's perspective, there are many benefits to playing video games, including decreased reaction times, increased motivation, and happiness resulting from in-game rewards.
From studying video game design, the addictive properties of video games, and the psychology behind violent video games, there is clear evidence to suggest that the first-person shooter-style video games have a negative impact on a player's life.
With the advent of violent video games, it has been found that users that play these games exhibit increased violent and aggressive behavior. In two experiments conducted by researchers Gryph and McClatchy, they found that playing violent video games increased the act of users degrading one another, which prompts violent behavior.
This study further went on to say that participants who played the violent video game judged the other participants less positively than did the participants who played the neutral video game. Thus, users who played the violent video games treated their counterpart players with increased negative attitude compared to the players who played a non-violent video game.
Therefore, it can be determined that violent video games have an impact on the psychology of their users. Playing violent video games promotes dehumanization between players and increases aggressive behavior compared to users of non-violent video games. Gryph and McClatchy found that this was true in both intergroup and interpersonal settings. First-person shooters are violent in nature, which supports the claim that first-person shooters can have these negative effects on its users.
There is much to debate as to the addictive nature of video games, and whether it falls under the classical definition of addiction. The diagnostic criteria for pathological video game use and pathological gambling are similar in that they are both considered to be behavioral addictions.
Studies have shown that similar pathways in the brain are activated in drug-addicted individuals' brains as internet-addicted individuals when playing online video games.
Video game reward systems function similarly to how gambling works in the brain. The reward centers are activated in a similar manner during video games, drug use, and gambling. Gorham points out that the same neural pathways are activated during habitual drug use as during video game use.
There are many aspects of video games which make them addictive. Including video game addiction as part of the classical definition of addiction could help individuals that suffer from addiction in the future. Video games have been one of the main entertainment options for the past few decades. A crucial part of that is how the games are designed. Video games have changed drastically over the past few decades, making games more interactive, more appealing, and more addictive.
In today's games, time is often an important aspect of designing a game. When the players have the pressure of time, they're having to make quick decisions and choices. Wolf stated that the smallest unit of interactivity is the choice, which consists of two or more options from which the player chooses. The key appeal to games is the control a player has. This is due to the happiness when we get control of our lives. Games give us the ability to control the environment around us through virtual reality.
Another thing a game designer can do is add references that the gamer will understand so they will have a better understanding of what is going on in the game. This can ultimately improve a person's ability to make decisions in virtual reality. The idea of a game had two important requirements. First, that the player's interactivity would inherit, and second, that references would be made to the arcade video game culture.
Video games are created with the intention of establishing a user interactive environment. Their development with exceptional interactivity creates a sense of pleasure among players. This is true for violent video games like first-person shooters as well. The problem, however, is that these violent video games promote dehumanization and create more aggressive behavior within their players.
Furthermore, the playing of video games generates similar reward mechanisms in the brain as does gambling. Being that gambling addiction is a proven psychological condition, this leads to the idea that video games can also have addictive qualities. However, more research is required to solidify whether video games create addiction among users.
Thus, users must take warning when playing violent video games like first-person shooters. It has been proven in studies that games of these types create aggressive behavior among users. Furthermore, there is linking evidence that supports that video games, violent games included, can create addiction. Therefore, not only do these games create negative behavior mechanisms, but they may also create user dependency.
Have video games influenced you in your life?